Okay, so we are starting off again this week with demos. Um, and who would like to go first?
We can just go first.
I was gonna do the stare down game until
Oh,
we
we don't have
decided.
everyone. Are we
Yeah,
expecting
we're
to
still
not
waiting
have
for
Deb?
Deb. So yeah, he just
You want
did the
us to
check,
go
so we'll
first
be able
then?
to take it. Oh, okay.
Okay. Do you want me to share my screen, Viviana?
Yeah,
Or how do
yeah, that works.
Okay, can do. All right. Okay. So the homepage of the app is here. We can go to a particular list and we can click a button which marks the item as purchased, and then it becomes disabled, so you can't unclick it. If I go into the Firebase database, Firestore database, I can go on that particular item. Did I do the first one? I don't remember. Oops, that's yogurt. Let me do the first one. It's easier to find. Juji fruits. Okay. Let me refresh that just in case, because I'm suspicious, but I'm sure it updated itself. Okay, we're at Juji fruit. So that was purchased today. Today is the 6th? Yes. Okay, I confirm that that was purchased today. What I would expect is if it was over 24 hours, that box would be unchecked. So I'm going to go ahead and put in even more than that. I'm going to put in the 8th. I'm going to update it. It went orange, so that leads me to believe it's updated.
I think we should go back a date, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I went forward instead of back. Please forgive me. I went to Costco. That happens.
This is great. I need to know how to buy things in the future so I don't have to.
I buy them in the future. I apologize. So if I were to update that purchase date to be more than 24 hours ago, which would be subtracting the date, then I update that now. That went orange. Then my Juji Fruits box is unchecked. So that is the functionality that we added to mark an item as purchased.
Awesome.
Very cool.
So Viviana, did you want to look at the code?
Yeah, I can share my screen for that, Dana.
Clicking stop share. There you go.
Okay. Okay, so there was 2 parts of this for us. It was first being able to just update the purchase date from null to the actual date. So that was the first part. So we have like an on click and an on change here. So we pass the event value, of course, and then the value of the doc, which is just like the document and like all the data that's associated with that. I think we only really needed the doc ID, but I think we just wanted to just pass in everything just to make sure. So in our handle, click here, we have update document, and that's where we pass through the document ID. So then with that, we're able to actually reference the specific document itself. So you see that here in our update document function. We use doc rep. This is like a Firestore thing, I think, using like doc. And then update doc is also like a Firestore function. So we're able to update the purchase date to moment.format, and that's a time library called moment.js, I think, which was really, really helpful. And you'll see in a sec. So, okay. So yeah, so that was like the first part to actually update the purchase date. So that was fine. The part that was like really tricky that we needed Yenli's help on was calculated the time difference. So we have that here. So depending on like what this returns, if it returns true, then it'll say checked and disabled. If it's false, then it'll be unchecked and undisabled. So that's here. So this is like where we got like really stuck on. So this is really cool when we finally got it. So we passed in the purchase time, and then we have time now, which is just whatever the time is right now. And so we had to format the 2 dates like this way for moment to be able to calculate the time difference. So we use this .diff thing, which was a lifesaver. It's really, really helpful that they had that. So yeah, so date 1 .diff date 2 and hours. It'll return the number of hours difference. So that's really nice. So then here we just need to return true or false. And then that's what gets checked here. So yeah, it was really nice. It was like very satisfying once we actually got this to work. So yeah, it was cool.
Super cool.
Did you want to add anything?
Tanner, Yeah, I just wanted to thank Tanner for your comments. I just read them on the pull request. Thanks for the feedback to clean the code a little bit. I appreciated what
Oh,
you
yeah.
wrote there. That's
No
really
worries.
helpful. And Yenli, thanks for walking us through that. You really took us out of the valley of despair.
Very cool. Did anybody have questions or other comments on it?
I have a word of caution, I suppose, just with working with time strings in general. It's generally, let's call it best practice to save them in the UTC format, because right now we're saving them as the local time zone. So the app would actually break if you moved from one time zone to another, because Moment automatically generates objects in your local time zone.
Oh, okay.
So working with dates is notoriously a pain in the butt. Nothing you have to think about for this project, but just I suppose keep that in mind in the future. Be
Yeah,
mindful
that's
of
really helpful.
the time zone that you're saving. Yeah.
Okay. I
Thanks.
think you mentioned that too, Dana. Yeah.
The other thing that I forget what it looked like when you were showing it in Firestore, but another kind of when you're converting it to a string for data storage, there's a specific format, an ISO something format, that's like a canonical representation of a date, and I think it doesn't include like the day of the week and things like that, where it's not necessarily human readable. It's readable, like you can read it, but it's not meant to be displayed to people. It's meant to be kind of a more terse format. So if you look up like on the regular date object, it's called to ISO string. I don't know what it would be called on Moment, but you might look at that as well for future projects.
Okay.
Thanks, Rob. You said to ISO string on the JavaScript date object.
Yeah, the word
Okay.
to.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So it looks like we don't have a dev. So Rafa, it is all you.
No pressure.
So here for the demo, we were tasked with creating a welcome prompt if a user creates a new list and they don't have any items on it. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new list. And this is the prompt that we added. Your shopping list is currently empty. Add your first item. If they click that, then it takes them directly to the add item page, and they can add item to their list and go back, and it's there. And as far as the code, it was pretty simple. We just added a ternary to list.jsx, where if there are items inside the document, then it would just render the document items. If not, then it would render a div showing the paragraph and the button, navigating them to the add item view. Sorry, it's very brief, but if you have any questions, concerns?
No, that's a brief issue. Did you have a chance to? I think at the beginning last week we were talking. Folks were talking about mobbing. Did you do that at all with the other group on theirs?
No, I didn't. I think they worked with Yinli on that one mostly.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, no, he made an additional pull request, a separate side project.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Of course, yeah, there was a bit of miscommunication about keeping the home button on the list view. So I thought that a good compromise would be just creating a nav at the top that's persistent throughout the app.
Do you want to demo that real quick?
Sure. Let me just switch my branch over.
There's a deployment preview too on your PR
All right.
as another option.
Yeah, just give me 1 second to pull it up. Right. So if you guys can see everything, this is what it looks like when you don't have a list. So if you create a new list, then it adds a sign out button. You can go back to the home view, return to your list, and if you want to switch to create a new list, then you click the sign out button, and it just refreshes the entire app. And would you like to see the code as well?
Sure.
So this is the code right here. I just created a new component where I have a handle, sorry, a handle sign out function, which sets the token to be a blank string and removes the token from local storage and then navigates the user back to the home view. And the component itself is just a nav element with a link to home. And if there's a token, then the sign out button renders with the handle sign out attached to the on click or no button at all.
Very cool. Makes sense. Have you talked about combining the two nav sections?
No, we haven't discussed that yet. That could be a good idea.
Yeah, it might make sense for them all to live together. But I like how you can sign out. That's pretty cool, and you can kind of start over. Okay. I think this is the first time we've been done with our demos by the 15-minute mark. So congratulations.
And we had 3 demos too.
Yeah.
So I can take over. I share a link in chat to our Retroboard. So we're going to try a format. I'll share the communication. I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes, and then we can spend our time writing in cards for your appreciations, what went well and what can be improved. And to repeat, the reason we're doing this is that it's a good practice to give and receive feedback in like written and verbal ways, because you're going to find like it's one of the pretty important skills to have as you're moving forward in your career. So this is like a intro to retros, because there's other forms of retros as well as you move along. So this is like one of the first steps, and it's good practice because you want to be able to verbalize all these things to your team members, and sometimes it's really hard to give feedback, and like it's very easy to be like, oh, let's not do it. But it's a good thing to do that, because people don't know until you give them that feedback, and it's the same. So I'm going to set a timer for around 9 to 10 minutes, and then when the timer is done, then we can go through each card and talk about it.
So we just add them right here.
Yeah, on that screen that I shared, so you can start typing in there.
Do you also happen to have the track of Jeopardy?
Oh,
No, I don't. I'm not prepared. If you have it, blast it.
Oh, I wish. Maybe Tanner will sing for us.
I've been kind of off key lately. I might need some extra practice next week.
Hold on. Is everybody done? Yeah,
I'm done.
cool. We can start with appreciations. um, so I think Dana, your card. We're just going to go down the cards on the first column.
Oh, I see. Thanks. Okay, I was the last one. I
Uh-oh.
it was very me extended help when you were on vacation from work. Oh, mine's the next one too. Rafa, I really enjoy your thoughtful and kind communication. Thank you. And like in my regular speaking voice, what that means to me is when you write something on a pull request, you write it with like very, like you've taken the time to look at it very thoughtfully and kind and suggest things like gently and not just like a, yeah, it's good. And it means so much when to know that somebody else took time to look at the work that you did. And you're the same when you review like something in a thread, you know, very thoughtful in communication. I dig that.
I've noticed that too.
Yeah, I actually took a screenshot of like your comment you left on our PR because I thought it was so nice.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate that feedback.
It was like, I needed to do this.
And on the wall.
Yeah, going back to what Dana said, yeah, I'm super appreciative that Yenli helped us even during her time off. You didn't really need to do that, so I was very, very grateful. And then Dana, it was just really great working with you like this past week. You're always very helpful, very eager to go on Stack Overflow, so I really appreciated that. So yeah, you helped us get through lots of hurdles. That was nice.
I appreciate everyone's willingness to experiment and work in the open, you know, taking risks, taking on the harder problem and also really communicating when you need help. And I think that's like really fantastic that each one of you can do that effortlessly. You're just like, I need this. And that is like a great skill to have. And then extra points to Rafa for doing the extra PR because, you know, you told us at the beginning of the week that it'll be a busy week for you. And yet here you are, 2 PRs. So that was really great.
Thank you. And so I'm the next one. Viviana and Dana, I want to thank you guys for your ambition in taking the harder issue this week, especially since it was a really hectic week for Dev and I. And you guys like absolutely killed it too. So great job. Kudos.
And then Dana.
Oh, and Viviana, thank you for sticking with it until we found a solution. There were so many times where you could have just been like, it's an hour, I want to clock out, I want to go do something else, I want to do this or that. And we would just stay and work until it was like we got to a point where it was okay to leave it until the next day. Thank you for being that kind of person that just like pushes through.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was.
And then Tanner.
Yeah, it was already mentioned, but it's just a shout out to Rafa. It's one thing to be busy and be doing your work, but then on top of that, to identify improvements in the app and go out of your way to make them is something that is going to make you a very skilled and talented developer. And a welcome addition to any team. So nice work.
So now we will move over to what went well. Viviana.
Yeah, I think when you were helping us, you were just like very patient with us and never really giving us the answer directly, which is really nice. You kind of just like pushed us in the right direction and like also made sure we weren't wasting our time and like getting stuck in like a little loop, which was really helpful. So yeah, I was really appreciative. I know that's a hard skill to have.
It was super helpful. And thank you also, Rob and Tanner, for the specific feedback. in looking at our code and teaching us what would be helpful moving forward. Like, yes, approve, but then like, hey, when you think about this problem in the future, look out for these things because these are going to be very impactful. So that's really cool. And I appreciate that because I want to get better.
And yeah,
time strings are hard.
yeah, I didn't realize. When Dana and I would review our code, it was nice because we worked like back to back on days, but like the very first thing we would do is like go over the code like line by line together to make sure we were on the same page before moving on. So that was really helpful and also like good practice, like speaking our code out loud. So that's nice.
I think that's a really cool thing. I didn't comment on that, but that's a really good idea.
It's funny because I do that because my brain is geriatric. It forgets what we did the day before. It's not like a best practice type thing. It's like I have no idea what we wrote yesterday, so let's go through it. But it has a good result, right?
I think that to whatever extent, most people are not as clear on what they did yesterday as they were when they were doing it. So yeah.
The brain leaks a little. And again, thanks for specific feedback on the PR, Tanner. Appreciate it.
Of course. Sorry for the delay. It was a kind of a crazy week for me, but I'm glad I got to write some comments.
No, it happens.
Yeah, more compliments to Dana. I just think we work very well together. We know when to switch off, and we're just like very, very patient. So it's never like any of us like talking over each other. It was like, can you try this? Like just very like gentle PR programming, which I appreciate.
It was fantastic demos all around in the last 2 weeks, from just the demos in the weekly sync and also from the videos in your PR. They're really great. Like those are way more than what I would expect. I just thought I would see like an animated GIF or something. So those are really great. And then just the way the team is communicating and collaborating is pretty stellar.
I agree.
So another thing I thought went well, like it seems like this group has a really good handle on communicating with each other in a like considerate way. So I'm grateful for the communication, like call outs when we make changes in our branches that affect the entire group. Like I'm getting a lot of kudos for making that extra feature, but I wouldn't have thought to add it without Dana calling me out on it. And so I really appreciate that, and being able to communicate that in a kind way. Yeah, thank you.
And Yenli, great support. And thank you for mobbing with us on that comparing time issue. Because we were at a point where it was no longer productive time. It was we need some more direction time. And so like thinking about how best to communicate that. And when you offered to come in and, you know, like work with us on that, that was huge support. Much appreciated.
Sure. I needed to learn how to do time again. It's like you have to keep hammering it in. Like I still have problems these days doing, anytime I do time, I have to pull up the docs and then I have to do a few rounds of confusion, then maybe I'll get it. So
it was nice to know we weren't alone in our learning, like that there was help there if we communicate and reach.
And then I've enjoyed seeing everyone's demos, and it looks like, at least I haven't been as hands-on the last week or so, but it looks like everyone's getting more comfortable and kind of, even if it doesn't feel like it to you, from outside looking in, it feels like you're working together better and getting more comfortable and moving faster.
what can be improved, Rafa?
So yeah, in the future, I would like to really set aside time to review PRs and give my teammates more detailed feedback. Like I appreciate the comment from Dana earlier, but I don't know, like as far as like my own standards, like I feel like I can dig a little bit deeper and try to be there a bit more.
The thing that I had was evening out the issues would be ideal. Like in a perfect world, they would be like the same amount of work. That's not always possible. That was something that could be improved, maybe. I don't know.
That came up. Somebody, sorry, go ahead, Tanner.
No, you can. I can save my thought for after you. That's fine.
I was just going to say, somebody mentioned that in, I think, one of the mentor chats, like, should we do something to add a little bit more to the one issue? You could see it also as a feature, I guess, given that the point of the Collab Lab is kind of getting that real world experience. And so this is going to happen. The difference, I suppose, is that in a job, you would probably do something more like what Rafa did. Like, once you finish, you just go on to the next thing, rather than having like a slated issue for the whole week. And so, yeah, maybe it should be communicated better that you can, the different options, I guess, like whoever's working on this particular very short issue, here's what your options are when you're done. You can add another feature, you can go work with somebody else, and just kind of help out that way.
Yeah, and then I was just I'll add on to that and say, I think it's kind of our responsibility to make sure that the work is evenly divided. The last thing I'd want is like one person to always be on the team that's doing all the work, and then vice versa. But
unless it's Dana, because she just signs herself up for that.
I think Viviana signed me up this week.
Oh.
No, it's okay. I enjoyed it, and I'm here for this.
No, this week you'll take a break. Don't worry.
No, I'm in. This is what I'm focused on. I'm happy.
Nice. Yeah. And then the other thing is, like, there's always stuff that you can go back and look at your own work that you've already written and maybe rethink things, or there's always styling improvements and little things. Of course, don't overwork yourself, but there is things to work on if you don't already have a personal project that you're rolling on. I always like CSS. Like, whenever I work on my own personal projects, there's always features I'm building. And then whenever I want to be lazy, I just write some CSS for a while, and that's always nice. I just make it look pretty. And I'm like, oh, cool, thank you.
Yesterday, I was working on one of my own projects, and I had this thing, like, I had this idea that I wanted to convert the stuff that I had done with HTML and CSS into an SVG. And I was kind of battling between that and a more meaty project. And I was like, nope, I'm ready for some brainless work. Let's just completely switch out the internals of this thing without making it look any different. That sounds great.
Yep, classic.
I think us mentors can foster better continuous feedback. So I think if we check in a little earlier and kind of chime in before the PRs are ready, I think that could be beneficial, especially I think in the coming weeks where the issues are going to be a lot harder. So just one of that things that I think we can improve, because that way it makes that review cycle more circular, where right now we're just like down one path, we're not doing any rinse and repeating yet. But I think that may be helpful.
Yeah, and then on our end, I think we could help with that. If I like, at least for Dana and I feel like we should have asked for help sooner and should have like discussed more on Slack where we were up to. Like, if we had written or we were stuck on for the time thing, maybe like you guys could have like chimed in on Slack if we made that more obvious. So I feel like we should probably do that more often. Yeah,
definitely time box yourself, as in like, we spend half an hour, where are we at? And then if you need to, at the next half an hour mark, you spend an hour, and if you hit an hour and a half and like you barely made progress, then that's a sign of being in a rabbit hole. And it's definitely fair to start direct messaging us, like, tag us in the post and be like, hey, we're kind of, we need some guidance and whatnot. So it can be like incremental asynchronous guidance, which is like, I think a good thing to simulate for you, because there will be times where when you're starting a new job, the team lead is going to be super busy, but you can't think of it as they're super busy, I shouldn't bother them, because they have a lot of context and important things that they can share with you that could unstuck you faster. And it's just it can be a quick conversation. So how to get that help and not feel like you're a roadblock to somebody else. And on the other side, the team lead will be appreciating that, because they know where you're at and they know you're not stuck. So it's definitely like a two-way tension that I think we should try to simulate that more with you so you get that sense and feel comfortable. Because I've hear our junior developer a lot of times say to me like, "Oh, I don't want to be a bother," and it's like, no, you're not a bother. if you're stuck and you're not getting help, then we're leaving our teammate behind. So that's something to think about.
Feel free to use that that mentors group ping thing in Slack.
Okay.
I think I was next. Yeah, so I need to get better at scheduling some time to review PRs on Saturday. I really enjoyed looking at them. I think it was either last week or the week before. I spent a bit of time, and I just haven't done that the last couple of times. So, but thanks to the other mentors, I guess I should have put that under appreciation.
Looks like I'm the next one. This is mainly feedback for my partner this week, and he's not here. But I think that it's important that we make sure that both partners have reviewed and are ready to submit the PR instead of doing it unilaterally. Yeah.
Mine was, I need to do a better job of remembering and respecting pronouns. Ralph, I think I did the wrong pronouns with you at least twice. I do apologize.
It's fine.
Okay. My daughter reminds me all the time when I screw up, and I feel bad about it. So I don't mean any disrespect. Please feel free to call me out if you hear me do it and I'm not aware.
Of course. And I mean, I appreciate you catching that. I haven't noticed it at all. So
You're too kind. Thank you so much.
That was a great retro. Sometimes if there are things that are, we have action items and stuff, there is potential to create a column and capture that, and as a team decide, oh yeah, these are the things we want to do better. So I don't think we need that for today's retro, but I just wanted to share that to let you know, like for future, in any retro that you're in, that potentially like there will be sticky points in projects, and those will come up, and part of the exercise is how can we as a team do better, and here are some action items that we want to capture. So these kind of retro boards are really good to do, and then coming back to, it's like artifacts of where you're at and how you can improve as part of that continuous feedback loop of learning and trying to do better for each other. And I'm done, so off to you, Tanner.
Yeah, first, Rob, did you start a new skincare routine? Because you are glowing today.
So I was getting really dark, and then so I like put my hand up to try to adjust my white balance, and then yeah, I don't know. I can't do anything with it now.
It looked like you were doing that TikTok move where the
Need to like send it on the ceiling first. I don't know. There we go.
Nice. Hey, back to normal. Okay, well, we're on week 5, which means we're officially over the halfway hump, which is a little bittersweet, I suppose. We've got one group of Viviana and Dev, and the other one is Dana and Rafa. We're looking at, let me share my screen actually. Which one is my screen? This one's my screen. Okay. We have MRs open for 7 and 8, which means we're working off 9 and 10 now. Am I counting that correctly? We have,
yep.
What am I missing here? We have 3 more weeks, but 2 more. Oh, that's right. Last week is, that's right. Okay.
Issue
Numbers
13 goes for 2 weeks.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we're
Cool.
officially halfway through.
Yep. Sad day. Issue number 9. As a user, I want to filter my shopping list to make it easier to locate an item in the list. So classic filtering, very helpful for those longer lists. I'm going grocery shopping later. A couple requirements here of displaying a text field. As the user types in the field, the list should narrow to display only the items that contain the text. et cetera, et cetera. There's a few other things here. That's a fun one. And then issue number 10, as an item, I want my estimated next purchase date to be computed at the time my purchase is recorded in the database, so that the app can learn how often I buy different items. So when a purchase is recorded, the estimated number of days until the next purchase date should be calculated and recorded in the database. If that is scary, take a deep breath. There actually is a function here pre-written for you called calculate estimate, and that can be found in the utils library. So definitely take a look there if your team takes on this issue. And then there's some other couple notes here as well that you can look through. Okay. So one kind of very front-endy issue and then one kind of back-endy issue. Let's see, to remind us again, we're on week 5. So maybe Viviana, do you want to go first since you're the solo one? Or I guess, okay. Does anyone have a preference here? We've got 9 and 10.
Just let Dana pick.
Oh, no, I don't have a preference.
Okay.
They're both good issues to do.
Does anyone have a preference?
I like the filtering one.
Okay. Okay, cool. So it'll be Viviana and Dev on that one then. And I'll get these assigned up, and that is issues. And then I'm also doing office hours this week. So keep an eye out for that. And I'll be posting information about that as we get a little closer. And that's me.
Cool.
Record time.
Yeah. Is there anything else?
Rafa, did you want to push your branches first, or would you like us to push, Viviana and I to push our branch first to main? Do you have a preference? Does it matter?
Yeah, I don't really have a preference. I'm not
Neither
sure.
do I.
We may hit a merge conflict in that ternary,
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
I feel like they should merge theirs first since it's a smaller thing, and then we should do ours. I think that makes
we can do
sense. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, good
Bye.
call. Have a good week and good luck.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.